Alright, everyone, welcome back. So I'm repping all Phillies, or all Philly sports. Go Phils. But regardless, that out of the way. So the NHL has been proposing to general managers and teams whether or not they should revise the draft and have either the prospect and have not the teams go to the draft, but only the prospects do. And it's very similar to how the NFL does things at their draft. And I personally think that this is stupid. I understand why some teams are complaining about the fact that, the free agency is a little bit too close to the draft, which is understandable. I actually thought the same thing myself when I saw the order for the draft this year. Like, they were like 2 days apart or some kind of number like that. And I was like, that is kind of strange. You don't. I feel like that is unusual for the NHL and just for overall sports, like to have the draft and free agency that close together. But here's my simple solution to that: you just move free agency back more. That's all you do. Like, you don't need to have free agency July 1st or July 8th, or you don't have to have it at the very beginning of July. You can have it mid-July. Like, have it in the middle of July. Give NHL fans something to be excited about during that period of time. And I know people are saying, oh, start the season earlier. No. Start the season at the same time, but move free agency back a little bit. I don't understand why you need a whole month of August that is just nothing. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you already have July of no hockey, a little bit of June, all of July, August, and the majority of September. Pretty much all of September if you don't include preseason. And then some of October too. So, yeah, you're not missing a lot if you move it to like the 20th or like the 15th of July. Somewhere around there. I know I'm not an expert with that, but still. Now, as responding to that, somebody posted, I forget their name, somebody posted saying that they need to get rid of the NHL draft. And yeah, that right there is why, like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand the logic behind something like that. Because personally, like, you do that, it's going to kill the league. It's going to kill the entertainment of the league. It's going to kill a lot that the league brings. And, I understand from some standpoints. Like, oh, you want to have the players to give the option of where they want to go. If that were the case, Bedard would have went to, like, Vancouver. Bedard would have went to Toronto, maybe. Bedard would have went somewhere, or like Slavkovsky, he would have went somewhere else. Like, they would have went to their hometown favorite teams, and a lot of the players, they didn't grow up in Arizona, they didn't grow up in Minnesota, they didn't grow up in Boston, they didn't grow up in Florida, they didn't grow up in California. Some of them did, but not all of them, and a lot of them came from Europe too. Like, it's just that's the thing with me. Like, a lot, if you get rid of the draft, it's gonna make it so much more harder for teams like Philadelphia. Philadelphia. It's gonna make teams like Arizona, Chicago, St. Louis, like teams, San Jose, teams right now that are bad. It's gonna make it so much more difficult to even like be competitive or be good, because you're gonna have to sign all your players. And like, a lot of the players are gonna be like, yeah, no, I want to go to Montreal, and it's gonna be like how it was back in like the '70s when the Montreal Canadiens were just winning championships left and right, left, right, and center. And how did they get their players? Mainly through just trading away players and cash to these teams, or just giving the players cash to play in their city. Like, that is what they would do. And I think that if you get rid of the draft, it's going to bring that back. Like, we're going to see the same 5 teams. It's going to be probably the same original 6 teams, like Toronto, Boston, Detroit, Montreal. Like, you're going to see those same couple of teams be competing for a championship every single year, because all these teams want to go to all these players want to go to those teams. So it just overall, like, it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me how people would think that would be eligible. Like, the only good reason that I see coming out of that was giving the players a right to where they want to go. That's literally it. Literally it. That's the only plus I see from doing that. And you mentioned the European leagues, and you mentioned, how other teams don't do this. Like, I looked at those European leagues and all the drafts. literally, it's like the same couple of teams just winning it every single year. Like, the other teams in that league don't get a shot whatsoever. Doesn't make sense to me, honestly. And going back to, turning into the NFL draft, like, the best memories for those players are made at those drafts. Like, are made, walking up there, handshaking Gary Bettman's hand, shaking the GM's hand, and then taking the picture with the general manager and the coach. It it is a memory for those players that they'll never forget. And I think a lot of the guys who have been drafted like that will agree. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's basically you're going back to how it was when COVID was around. Pretty much. Except you have the prospects all in one building. Like it just, I understand, things are changing and we want to be like the NFL. We want to be like the MLB. We shouldn't want to be, though. We aren't the NFL. We aren't MLB. We aren't the NBA. We aren't those other three big sports leagues. We aren't. And the reasoning for that is because we play a different sport. Like, we shouldn't want to be like those leagues. We should have our own unique way of doing things. And that's why we should keep the draft the way it is. And going back to what I said, you can solve the problem very easily just by moving free agency back a couple of days. That's it. You don't need that entire month of August to just dilly-dally. Or that pretty much that whole month of July to just do nothing. I know it's been like that for years, but still. And people who say that they should move the season back and have playoffs and have playoffs end in May, no. Hard no. Playoffs in June is great. I like the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals were mainly what takes up June. Some of the second round too. That's good though for the league. Like, you want to keep it spread out more. Like, and then that goes into the question, like, oh, should we change the playoff format? No. Like, no. Unless if we expand more, no. Stop trying to change things the way they are. Like, what is the underlier that is making you want to do this? Like, besides moving free agency back. Because that can easily be solved. Whatever. Honestly, I don't understand. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe I'm not someone who's, like, all into it and doesn't know everything. Maybe that's the case. That probably is the case if we're being honest. But regardless, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. But regardless, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.